Skip, the opt-in is $47 million, or he could do what 5 at 250, 260?
If they want to go there, yeah.
Nah, Skip,
nobody's going to do that now. But yet, even last night, if you look at his what's his final stat line here? He had only 11 points, but he had 9 assists, which led both teams in assists. So as just a pure point guard, just as an orchestrator, there's value there that somebody would pay.
Not $50 million a year value.
Not that. But
Joel Embiid summed it up.
Okay, but yeah, he said people keep expecting Houston James, and that guy doesn't exist anymore. That's basically what Joel said.
Yes.
And that was about as honest as you can get, because that's the truth. He says now he's more of a playmaker, which was a euphemism for all he does is pass the basketball. Right. And he does. He is a gifted pass. I'm going to give him that, because every once there were a couple of times last night where I said, "Wow, that was really good," right?
Yes.
So he can do that, but it's really all he has left to do, because all the rest of it left him.
Right.
So to your point, you want to talk about falling off the cliff. It reminds me in some ways of Russell Westbrook, if I will, because Russell Westbrook got exposed on the biggest stage. Well, James, unfortunately for James, he exposed himself because of what he just did. He quit his way out of Houston to get to Brooklyn. And all of a sudden we're saying, this is the greatest big three offensive firepower we've ever seen in the history of this league.
Yes.
Well, now, okay, James, look out. Be careful what you wish for. You just put yourself on the biggest stage you could have. And then he quits his way off that stage, in part because Kyrie wouldn't get vaccinated.
Correct.
And he goes back to Daryl Morey. He's reunited with Daryl Morey. And what's the quote from Morey? He spoke at that Sloan Sports Analytics conference back in March after he'd reacquired James. And here's Daryl Morey's quote. Obviously, he was his GM in Houston. Right. He said, "I was lucky enough to get reunited with my basketball Jesus. My basketball Jesus."
We know about Daryl Morey because of James Harden.
Yeah.
He made the trade. Skip, he made the trade. He got him off in six-man.
He took out a full-page ad when they split up, right?
Yes.
And in the Houston paper to thank him for because he put Daryl Morey on the analytics map.
Yes.
Okay. So basketball Jesus. I mean, I think he turned out to be a false god, right? So the point is, Daryl Morey acquires him, and it's such a huge story. He quit his way out of two places in 2 years and wound up with Joel Embiid. Well, now, all of a sudden, it's just like Russell Westbrook is suddenly the starting point guard for the team he grew up living for in Los Angeles, the Lakers.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, James is like, I was with the Brooklyn Nets, the greatest big three ever, and now I'm with Joel Embiid in Philadelphia, and we're going to go win the championship. Right. No, you're not.
Right.
Okay? I did not like the trade at all because I don't trust him in the postseason. So in the end, that's all I care about is, what are you going to give me in the postseason? Well, I know what you're not going to give me because we don't have enough show to go back through all the flameouts. And it started back in 2015 because they got to a close. It was a game 5.
The Warriors.
It was Warriors. He set the all-time playoff record. He had 12 turnovers in one single basketball game. And that started...
And he went 2 for 11 from the floor.
Yeah, 2 for 11. And it just kept on keeping on. And then we get all the way up to his MVP year 2018 in the Western Conference Finals. And he had lost Chris Paul to the hamstring, but in games 6 and 7, he goes a combined 6 of 25 from 3. Well, it's just a disappearing. At least he was trying to shoot there last night. He's just hiding. In the second half, he's like, I don't want any part of this. I see what's happening.
Yep.
He's got high IQ, obviously.
I don't have it.
I just know I'm going to stay out of the way. So when he says the ball never came back to him, it's because he didn't want the ball to come back. And then he had the audacity.
You remember Houston James? Houston James would go get the ball.
He would. Oh, did he? Well, that's how he averaged whatever.
36 one year.
36?
34, 32.
God, I can't tell you how many regular season games I watched against my then San Antonio Spurs, the dynastic Spurs. They just couldn't stop him. He'd go for easy 40, and I'd say, how is he doing that? Double him. Dude, no, they couldn't. They couldn't stop him because his bag was too deep. In some ways, it was deeper than Kyrie's bag. Maybe he didn't have all the whipped cream right around the basket, but just on scoring the basketball, I'd never seen anything like it from the perimeter.
Right.
And neither had anybody else. Neither had Daryl Morey. But the point is, he never really cared about winning. It was not a passion of his. He's the flip side of all the,
Didn't look like he cared about training either.
Well, we knew that from the start because he just wanted to play his way into shape. That will work. You know this better than anybody. It will work until you turn 30.
Yeah, it will work when you're younger.
Yeah.
You can eat whatever you want to. Skip, my first 2 or 3 years in the league, I ate fast food every meal.
Absolutely.
Kept body fat in the single digits.
Yep.
But as I started to get like 26, 27, like, oh.
Uh-oh.
What that?
Yep.
No, I better change the way I do things. Well, Skip, the guy, James Harden's what, 33? 32. Well, he look like he's 42. Play like he's 42.
I've been tweeting that. He's 32 going on 42. That's what he looked like last night. He didn't have the little pot belly. He sort of ran that off just by playing basketball.
I don't know, Skip, but he's still looking like James Harden.
Okay, all right. Well, that's fine, too. I'm with you. But it's just dissipation. It's off the floor. It's
bad, Skip.
You know, he loves the nightlife. We know all the stories. And he does not live for basketball. He lives to love life.
Okay, Skip, you want to do the nightlife. Well, what about train? What about if you train as hard as you party?
Both.
What if you ate? I mean, Skip, I understand they got 5-star chef in these places now.
Yep.
But Skip, you're a professional athlete. Do you understand what's expected and required of you? Because like you said, once you quit your way out of one situation and you go to another situation, the magnifying glass is going to intensify.
Yep.
So we're going to be watching you in Brooklyn because you said you didn't have a chance to win in Houston. Now you go with Kyrie and KD. Okay, that situation, Kyrie, okay. Now you're like, I don't want to be here anymore. You go with Joel Embiid. At that point in time when you linked up with Joel Embiid, he was the clear MVP front runner. Mm-hmm. You were supposed to accentuate what was already there.
Yep.
And at no point in time were you better than Tyrese Maxey.
Mm-mm. No, I kept tweeting this. It looks like Tyrese Maxey is more of a max player than James Harden is, right?
Yes. They got a bunch of guys. Look, Joel Embiid is Joel Embiid. He's an MVP. He's going to be an MVP candidate. But Tobias Harris, that ain't no max player. James Harden, if they give him, Skip, this is the process. Now, think about it. The only piece of the process that's there is Joel Embiid. Markelle Fultz is gone. Ben Simmons is gone. And the guy the general manager that put the process in place, he's gone.
Yep.
So there is no more process. It's supposed to be complete. You're supposed to have been building something.
Yep.
I just don't know now, Skip. I thought they could do it. But I got them trade. You say the Lakers want to trade Plasker, they want to trade on LeBron. We'll trade you James Harden for LeBron James. Put LeBron with Joel Embiid. Put Braun with Joel Embiid.
Well, you don't want James, then you wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't. Exactly. There you go. Yeah, you like that trade?
I don't think the Lakers will do that.
Why not? Look, Phil build around Russ and James.
Even Phil would see James is washed. Although he would use the old term of washed up.
Yeah.
Somehow we lost the
Can you imagine Braun and Joel?
No, I would agree for 1 year that would work. I think LeBron's got one big year left in him.
We got 2 big years.
Okay, maybe 2. I might give you 2 if the way he keeps him. LeBron is the flip side in keeping himself fit to James.
Correct.
And the irony of this conversation is because I've spent so many nights in Philadelphia going to various games, basketball, football, baseball. He is the opposite of what those fans want.
Oh, absolutely, totally.
You could not get more polar opposite of what all they ask is come out and give me every last ounce you got.
Care as much as we do.
Yeah, care as much as we do, and he doesn't care. It doesn't matter to him. He's got his money, and he knows he's going to get a whole lot more money.
Yep.
He knows for a fact next year he's going to make $47.36 million.
Right.
That's a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
For even if he just plays one more year, you think he's losing any sleep over this?
I'd take $1 million of that and get me a personal trainer and a chef.
Well, there you go.
That's what I would do.
Okay. So in the end, we both have agreed all along somebody's going to have to pay for this, and it's going to be Doc Rivers.
Yes.
So he will go, and then I'm reading in USA Today this morning, there are whispers around the league that James Harden is not healthy. Baloney, he's not healthy. Are we going to do this again? Yeah. Is he just like going to be career-long, not healthy?
Right.
There's always something with him. I give Joel injury passes because he had a fractured orbital bone and he needs surgery on his thumb.
Yeah,
He's got a torn ligament.
And he was dealing with a back injury towards the end of the season.
He's always dealing with a back injury.
Yeah.
Okay? But his passion was nil last night because I think he's looking at James like, wait a minute, now I'm stuck with him?
Well, Skip, here's the thing. You see a guy around the league and you see what he's doing, and you hear what he's doing, and now all of a sudden you get said player. He's like, okay, let me see.
And
let me see one of those 40 point. Let me see one of those 50-point performances that I heard so many in the ones you've gotten against us. And then you get said player. It's like you go to the Pro Bowl. You're like, okay, let me see what you got. We watching practice. We watching practice. I'm like, okay, let me see. Okay, I can see it.
Yeah.
He looking at James Harden like, I thought you was supposed to. Tyrese Maxey better than you.
Yeah, Tyrese. And listen, Tyrese Maxey in the fourth quarter played his tail off. He was diving in the stands.
Skip, you remember he tried to pass James Harden the ball, and the ball hit James Harden in the back. They scoop it up and go lay it up. And then James Harden get the ball stole, and then I think it's Bam gets it. James takes like 2 steps. No, I can't get it. Just like when you said he had the fast break, I think it was against Milwaukee, and he walks it out. It was like last night, Skip, he took 2. Now, I'll get it next time. Like I said, Skip, I don't want to say somebody quit, but it's hard for me to come to his defense and say James Harden played his ass off last night.
But the truth is, James quit a long time ago. That's the God's truth, really. It's not a game situation. It's a career situation.
Yeah, well, Skip, once you start quitting, you know you'll quit again, right?
Yeah.
He quit.